The chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with usual noise voices from every corner of the galaxy, lights blinking from star charts, and messages flowing through the screens. For a long time, Earth had been an active member of the Council, sometimes bold, sometimes quiet, but always watching, always listening. Now, it had been 3 full cycles. No messages, no reports, no presence from Earth. At first, many council members laughed it off. Humans love to make an entrance. Maybe they are planning something dramatic, said a blue-skinned Zlan, waving one hand. Others agreed, thinking it was just another delay, but something felt strange. A soft-spoken Talari ambassador stood up. I've tried contacting Earth's embassy on Tryon 9. It's empty. All equipment is gone. No staff. Not even a farewell message. That changed everything. Silence was normal for some species, but not for humans. They always responded, even if only with sarcasm or defiance. Council leader Merrick's tone turned serious. No damage, no signs of conflict. None, replied the ambassador. It's like they cleaned up and walked out quietly. One by one, reports came in. Human trade ships had stopped responding. Colonies that were once filled with activity had no signs of life. Their space docks were offline. Patrol ships were gone. No alarms. No final broadcast. Nothing. Humans had left without a word. In a quiet corner of the council archives, a young analyst noticed something unsettling. Over the past years, Earth had been slowly pulling away. Fewer delegates, less activity, quietly removing their technology, their ships, their people. No one had noticed until now. Now that they were truly gone, some felt regret, others felt fear. Because humanity didn't run away, they prepared, and the galaxy was about to learn what that silence really meant. A storm was building, not in space, but in the quiet looks being exchanged across the council chamber. The news of Earth's silent departure had spread through the galaxy like a cold wind. Systems that once traded daily with humans now sat in confusion. Planets that relied on Earth's technology found their systems failing, as if the support was pulled away strand by strand. The silence was no longer just strange. It was frightening. Council leader Merrick called for a private emergency session. Only high-level members were allowed in. The doors sealed shut with a soft hum. Inside, the air felt heavier than usual. A large screen blinked to life. It showed all known human-controlled sectors, every one of them now marked in red. Not a single ship, beacon, or signal had been detected for weeks. Merrick turned slowly to face the gathered leaders. We have underestimated Earth. Again. A small figure stepped forward. It was Archivist Neelan, known for digging into long-forgotten records. They've done this before, he said quietly. Not on this scale, but there are records of human colonies vanishing before wars, before disasters. They move before anyone else understands what's happening. The council members leaned in, some shaking their heads in disbelief. Are you saying they left because they saw something coming? One of them asked. Neelan nodded. I think so. And they didn't tell us. Maybe they didn't trust us. Or maybe they didn't want to cause panic, others whispered among themselves. Regret started to grow like a shadow in the room. For years, the council had overlooked human warnings, laughed at their caution, and dismissed their instincts as paranoia. Now there were no humans left to warn them. Meanwhile, far from the council's view, in the quiet dark between stars, strange signals began to appear. They were not human, not council. They were unknown, and they were getting closer. Still, the humans remained silent, and that silence was starting to feel like a message. The council chamber, once full of strong voices and endless debate, now felt like a room waiting for something to happen. The silence left behind by Earth wasn't just empty, it was deep, thoughtful, and heavy, as if it carried a secret. Every member of the council had begun to feel it. Something was changing, but they didn't know what. On the outer rim of the galaxy, where human colonies once flourished, strange patterns began to form. Trade routes were cold. Satellites once maintained by Earth were now shutting down one by one. Automated systems had been left behind, but they were running on timers, slowly fading to black. In a distant listening post on Moon Point 7, a young observer named Kellen picked up something unexpected. A pulse, not just any pulse, but one that matched human tech but wasn't coming from any known human system. It was deep, hidden, and encoded with a message that made no sense at first. It repeated one word, observe. He forwarded it to the council immediately. The word puzzled them. Was it a warning? A command? A test? Some believed it was just leftover code. Others were not so sure. Meanwhile, whispers spread among independent traders. Rumors, ships that passed near the old human borders reported strange events. Energy readings that made no sense. Flickering lights in the dark, shadows moving faster than any known craft. And then, silence again. Many started to ask, were the humans really gone? Or had they simply changed their position watching from a distance? Ambassador Tyrell, once a strong critic of Earth, stood in his private chambers, staring at the last message he had received from a human delegate 2 years ago. It was short, too short. We tried. They didn't listen. One day, they will. Now, those words echoed louder than ever. Something was unfolding. The council didn't know what it was, but deep down, they all felt the same thing. Earth had not left out of weakness. It had stepped back because the game had already moved to another level, and the council wasn't ready to play. Far beyond the edges of known space, where the stars grew fewer and the light thinned into cold darkness, something was awakening. Ships that ventured near the old human territories now turned back without explanation. Their logs were empty, their crews strangely quiet upon return. It was as if they had seen something, but refused to speak of it. Inside the council, debates grew tense. Half believed Earth had left because of some internal problem. The others were beginning to suspect that humanity had seen something coming, something the rest of the galaxy had missed. On a quiet moon near the Old Soul trade route, a research team stumbled upon an unusual find. Hidden deep inside a sealed human outpost, they discovered a room full of star charts. But they weren't ordinary maps, they were predictions, future movement patterns, timelines, trajectories of unknown objects. None of them from Earth. Every chart had one thing in common. The paths were leading in, not out. Something was coming toward the galactic core, and the humans had known. The lead researcher, a calm-eyed Liker named Soon, presented the findings to the council. They were tracking it for decades, she said. Not a threat, not yet, but they believed it would be, and they planned around it. One council member leaned forward. Why didn't they tell us? Soon paused. Maybe they tried. Maybe we didn't listen. Back in the archives, more clues appeared. Old meeting records, human warnings that were dismissed, concerns that were mocked, questions that were unanswered. And now, all that remained was silence. But something strange was happening across the galaxy. Worlds once held together by Earth's guidance were now struggling. Conflicts were rising, systems failing. The quiet absence of humans was creating a loud ripple, not from attack but from missing balance. As fear grew, a signal suddenly appeared, not from Earth, but from something nearby. Short, clear, 3 words. They are coming. And the council, once proud and united, found itself speechless, like Earth had been, but now they understood. The silence had never been empty. It was a warning, wrapped in calm, waiting to be heard. In the stillness that followed the mysterious signal, a quiet panic crept through the council's veins. Systems once secure now felt exposed. Borders once strong now seemed thin. The 3 words "they are coming" played again and again in every mind, but no one could explain where they came from or who they were. Behind closed doors, council members met in secret. Some whispered about the return of an ancient force. Others believed it was just fear playing tricks. But deep down, even the most logical among them felt that something was watching. Something was approaching, and it wasn't human. In an old memory vault beneath the council's library, an assistant named Rima uncovered a forgotten transmission, one never shown to the public. It was a farewell message from a human leader. Softspoken.com. If this message is heard, it means we've already gone. We did not run. We stepped away for your sake and ours. What follows is not your fight yet, but one day you will understand why we left without a word. The room where Rima played the recording fell silent. There was no anger in the message, no pride, just warning and care. The council, once divided, now found itself staring at a truth they never wanted. Two-Face, Earth hadn't left in fear. They had left with purpose. Suddenly, small signs began to appear. A broken moon near the edge of known space started glowing with strange patterned symbols no one could read, except for those who remembered Earth's old languages. Human writing? A nearby drone recorded the scene, sending it to the council. Experts translated it. One sentence. We are not far. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a promise. It was a choice. Earth had left the council but not the galaxy, and somewhere in the shadows, they were waiting, not for permission, not for praise, but for the moment they had seen coming all along. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Faint pulses echoed across the edge of known space, signals that didn't match any known civilization, yet carried a strange, rhythmic intelligence. Star stations near former human sectors began reporting flickers of interference. Ships lost guidance. Navigation systems drifted off course, but there was no sign of war, no enemy fleets, no alarms, only a rising sense of unease. And then, something unexpected happened. On Council Station Thedo 12, a vessel appeared out of nowhere. No warp signature, no communication. It simply, arrived. Sleek, dark, and unfamiliar, yet somehow familiar to those who remembered human designs. Not built like the old Terran ships, more refined, advanced, but unmistakably human. The council scrambled to respond. Fighters were scrambled, defense grids activated, but before a single shot could be fired, the vessel broadcast a message. Simple, calm, stand down. We are only here to observe. The ship remained still, untouched by scanners, as if wrapped in a veil of technology no one else understood. From within, no one came out. But the message had been enough. Earth had returned. Not with armies, not with orders, but as silent witnesses, watching from the dark, just as they had warned. Later that day, across dozens of sectors, strange objects were detected moving at impossible speeds. Not ships, not meteors, something else entirely. Each time they passed, systems flickered. Communications broke, then restarted, as if nothing had happened. But now, the council finally understood the message. Humans had been trying to send all along. They had left not to escape, but to prepare, because something older than any known race was approaching. Something not born from stars or planets, but from deep, dark time. And humanity had gone first. To face it now, the council could only watch as humans stepped quietly back into the light. Steady, changed. They never needed permission, they only needed time, and now that time had arrived.